Are you tired of watching shows that only give you general social media theory and expect you to figure out how to apply it to your own industry? Join us for this week's episode of Social Chatter, the industry's longest-running social media marketing news talk show. Not only will you learn the latest breaking news, but you'll also gain practical advice on how to apply it. Now here's your host, Christian Karasevich.
Welcome, everyone, to Social Chatter, your weekly social media marketing news talk show. I'm Christian Karasevich, CEO and founder of socialchefs.com, digital marketing agency. And we're excited to have you join us for this week's episode. This is 297. I just want to give you guys a quick rundown on what we're going to be talking about. So we're primarily going to be talking about audio rooms because, well, there's a ton of news about audio rooms this week. Specifically, we're going to be talking about Spotify Greenroom. We've got some Facebook audio room updates as well. In addition to that, we've got some updates for those of you on the Instagram platform, as well as I think a couple updates even from maybe even TikTok if we have some time. But I'm going to go and bring on my co-hosts, Sarah Monroe, and we're going to kick things off. I'm going to have Sarah introduce our guest this week, who is Kirk Nugent. So hopefully I said that. I think I said that right, Kirk. So yeah, okay. He's giving me a thumbs up backstage. So I'm going to go and bring on Sarah and let's kick things off. Lots of good social media news to discuss this week. So Sarah.
Lots of good social media news this week, and diving even more into the audio space. And also one of my favorite topics, which is fundraising for nonprofits. So we're going to talk a little bit about what Instagram has rolled out this week. But first, let's bring on our guest, Kirk Nugent, who really works with small businesses, entrepreneurs, and faith-based organizations to make video simple, right? Yeah. Something that we all want. Make video simple.
That's right. That's right.
Kirk.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here. Excited to jump in on the conversation.
Fantastic. This is going to be a great show, by the way. And I know, like, Sarah, I know we've... Kirk, did we get everything? Did she cover everything about you? I mean, I love that like one-liner there. I mean, that was perfect.
Oh yeah. She got the whole thing. Only thing I would add is your live stream is your digital storefront, and so we help brands build their brand with live video. So that's it. That's all. I just want to keep it real simple, man. So yeah, and I'm excited about being here on Social Chefs. This is one of those checkbox items for me. So this is pretty cool.
Fantastic.
Oh, great.
By the way, for those who are wondering what platform we're using for Social Chatter, we're using, it's powered by StreamYard. You can check out StreamYard here at socialchefs.com/go/StreamYard. Go check it out. Again, I mean, I've been using, StreamYard has been powering Social Chatter for a long time. And that's because, it helps us make this stream professional, just the ease of use factor, and
absolutely.
For me, the other thing is that it just works, so that's what's powering this show. But I'm going to turn it over to Sarah.
Excellent.
We're going to kick things off. And Sarah, where are we starting first?
So we're going to start with a new live audio product. And this time it's from Spotify. A couple months ago, we said Facebook was jumping in. Instagram is even jumping in. Of course, we have Clubhouse and now Spotify. They teased us earlier this year. And now Greenroom is actually live and available. It is a separate app from Spotify, and it's really simple. You just have to link it up with your Spotify account. In fact, I opened my Spotify app, and it was easy to just pull it in. I think the longest it took was remembering what my Spotify password was. And it is a separate app, so you will get a different app on your phone, and it's a chance to go live with audio. And if you look at, Christian's got the screenshot up there, it looks a lot like Facebook Live audio. It looks a lot like Clubhouse. It looks a lot like all the other products that we're seeing, even Twitter Spaces. But I see this as a great acquisition for Spotify. This was they acquired something called Locker Room in March, and this is really what they've built out for their live audio. I think it's going to be great for people who are doing podcasts. Spotify has really worked hard to bring podcasting in and paying specific creators for this. There is going to be a creator fund for people who start to use Spotify Greenroom too. And I think it's going to add that interactive live element to podcasting where we're already consuming podcasting.
Right.
So, we've got Kirk, who is an expert in live video, and we're putting him on the spot about live audio.
I know. I feel bad. We're like,
no.
Okay,
no,
Kirk's all
is...
about. But there's a reason I did this, because live video and audio, I mean, it opens the door to other mediums to be able to reach people. So, what do you think about this feature, Kirk? I mean, I know like you're into video, but we also know that people have different tastes and different ways they can consume content. So what do you think?
Man, I mean, it's very similar to video. What I do with video, what I do with live video, I should say, is help people to actually get their message out there, get their brand out there, their business out there. And so you want to look at your audio setup in the very, very same way. It's a platform that will allow you to expand your reach in a way that is a little bit less of a commitment, right? So in order for us to show up the way we are right now, you need the camera, you need the, a little bit better internet connection. You can't just use a device. So Audio Rooms kind of gives you all of the benefits, I would say, of live video without video, right? So, and then there's still that component of having the two-way conversation, right? Being in rooms with people that you may never meet in real life just because you're on the platform. So there's so many different benefits there, and people need to think about ways that they can leverage those for their businesses, for their brands, for their influence. Yeah.
What do you think, Sarah?
I like I said before, I love it. I love Spotify. Spotify is sort of my go-to for podcasts, for playlists. I've built out a lot of playlists over the years for events that I manage, or different clients have their own playlists. So we have a soundtrack for those events and that theme, and people can follow us. So it's a lot of fun. And I like that Spotify is adding this interactivity to the podcasting. It just adds this another layer for us to be part of a community. And Spotify's already there. They all are already audio, right? And so it may take us a little more time to adapt to something like Twitter Spaces or Facebook Live audio rooms. And we've talked a lot about those in past episodes last week, actually.
Right?
Last week was Facebook Live audio rooms. And we actually tested some Twitter Spaces in we'll have to put a link in the comments or in the show notes too about the Twitter Spaces that we actually tested it live with our guests, and we were adding it and having people pop up and seeing it live on screen. So I like that Spotify is going to have the interactivity too. That's what it looks like it's going to be. And it may not have all the same bells and whistles like Facebook Live audio rooms, but I think it's a great step for them.
Yeah, I'm excited about this. I mean, I like the fact that they've launched on both iOS and Android, which is fantastic. You have to go download a mobile app. Now, granted, it's a separate app. That part's very interesting, just seeing how the platforms are kind of moving to have you like download separate apps for certain things. One second, let me actually bump my audio up. Sorry, guys. So it's nice that they have a separate app you have to download. I will say though, I've actually been going through the setup process, and I've actually not been able to get my account linked yet. Actually, So Sarah, I don't know how hard that was for you, but for me, it's given me some challenges.
It was really simple for me. So I just jumped in, and it was just a few clicks through.
Okay.
For once, Christian, an app worked better for me than it did for you. This doesn't happen all the time.
I'll have to have to figure this out. I don't know. Maybe it also could be how you've connected your account and things like that.
It might be.
Spotify Greenroom. What do you guys think? Do you think it's going to challenge Facebook and Twitter Spaces and Clubhouse, or what do you think? Let's go, Kirk. Let's go with you first.
It's hard to say. I mean, what are the platforms look very similar, right? Okay. So, and at their base, they're going head to head in terms of what they're what they offer and what they accomplish. So how will they differentiate themselves? What are the features and ways that influencers and brands can really leverage one versus the other? Those are some of the things that I've been looking at, and I really haven't seen anything that jumps out at me from Spotify's offering, or even Facebook Rooms for that matter, that's wildly different than Clubhouse. But what I will say is that these other brands, Greenroom and Facebook Rooms, have the benefit of already having that infrastructure in place, right? So I already have a Facebook account. Most of the world already has a Spotify account. So whereas with Clubhouse, you had to kind of build that whole thing out. With these other platforms, you don't have to build that. It's just kind of a quick little bolt on, and then you're already ready to go. So if you already are an influencer, that's one of the things. It was wild. You had these people who or Instagram who had thousands of followers that get on Clubhouse would have 2. All right. But if you're already an influencer on Facebook, you go into Facebook Rooms, you're still an influencer, right? So I get to maintain my status, if you will. And some people will like that. Some people will want to leverage that piece. And for the followers, right, people that I follow, if I see one of the people I follow in a Facebook room, I'm more likely to go in there than it is on some of these other platforms. So looking at some of those ways to kind of differentiate between the platforms, what is it that gives the leg up? That's what I've been honing in on, trying to figure out which one's really going to stand the test of time.
Right.
Okay,
right.
Sarah, what do you think?
I don't think that Spotify is going to go head to head with the others. I think Spotify is going to go head to head with radio. Right? Because this is really going to be more like live radio talk shows, right? Where people can interact. I think where the head-to-head is going to happen is Clubhouse, Twitter Spaces, and Facebook Live Audio.
That's very true.
Now, what really excites me about Facebook Live Audio is that they're going to launch it in groups. And this is a chance for us to have like these conference calls with the people that we're part of. There's some groups that I'm a part of that are great masterminds or just really energetic, creative people. And I can't wait to be able to talk to them and hear their voices and have some live interaction that we haven't done before. So so I don't see Spotify, where Spotify radio competition, but also what's going to happen with Apple Podcasts. We haven't heard if Apple's going to add some kind of live element. That's one piece. So Spotify's really going to I think they're going to stay in the podcasting space and add this live element to it. I don't know that a lot of people are going to jump from Facebook or Clubhouse to Spotify to then build in this group too. I think we're all going to follow the same people that we love on Spotify and just add the green room to it.
Yeah. Very good point. So I think here's the thing I think I would add to this. And I think it's the fact that, and you bring up a really good point. So, okay. So, and Kirk, we're going to get this question later on with you. So right now, I think if I'm a business, and I want to decide if I want to tap into the Spotify aspect or the Facebook Live Audio Rooms or Twitter Spaces, go where your audience is at. That's the first thing. So go where your audience is at. Second thing is
very true.
You have different different vehicles, different audio vehicles, actually. So you have, as Sarah just mentioned, Apple Podcast. So great. You could go on Apple Podcast, for example, and that's where maybe your audio is going to live it's not real time, for example, at the moment. So that's going to be where you're going to do your processing. You're going to just, take your time and get a really good product out there. You're going to then do the live option for people that want to tune in live, that allow you to have that engagement, which you normally don't get on the podcast, because the podcast, is, hey, thanks for listening, and send them to a review or a social channel or things like that to further connect with you. Chances are they're not going to do that. And then you have the live streamed version of that, basically, which is essentially it's turning the webcam on with the audio, for example.
Right.
So you're going to have 3 different vehicles to pick from, I think. Now, in terms of which one's going to have the most, I like the fact that you all mentioned, with Spotify Greenroom, you're going to have a lot of personalities, like radio personalities, that are going to join that. I'm 99% certain you're going to have a lot of athletes, for example. So athletes right now, they're currently using, I think if you're looking at a famous athlete or somebody like that, I don't think the live aspect is as important. I mean, they might, they usually don't interact with their fans too much. So that's where it's sort of interesting, like whether, are they going to stick to the standard, hey, they're producing a podcast, because they can kind of do that when they're on the road and things like that. Or are they going to actually try to do a live podcast or essentially a live audio? I'm not so sure about that. But I do like the fact that it does add engagement. What was that, Kirk?
No. I was just agreeing. That's a really good point. That's good.
Yeah. I think it gives you a chance to be a little more in the moment, maybe some more organic content that's just happening as it happens. Yeah. It is a chance for, this kind of format, as long as we could easily change Social Chatter into an audio product as well, and a live audio product. But really it comes down to the basics. And we've talked about this each time we talk about audio and talk about live video too, is that you really need good audio regardless of having a camera on, right?
Very true. Yeah. Yes.
And so we're going to talk about, actually in our tool time today too, we're going to talk about a simple video editing product where you can rip out the audio too. So there are tools out there where you can do what you're already doing with live streaming or video and create it into these audio products too, without having a huge heavy lift.
Right.
Yeah, definitely. And I think the other thing that needs to come out of this, or I don't say needs to, I think what we will see is I think we'll actually see platforms offer live streaming audio functionality. So for example, like you can currently do StreamYard by, enabling the audio, putting the audio avatar on, and we can actually do the audio, but it needs to hook in. It'll need to be able to hook into, your Facebook live audios, your Spotify, your Twitter Spaces. Like it'll need to be able to hook into that.
Hook in, right?
Versus right now, it'll be something that's going to be separate. Like people are going to, for example, be running it through a mixer. For example, that's what I would do. I would run my phone through a mixer, use my professional setup, and then I'd be able to stream to Twitter Spaces or Spotify Greenroom in this case with my high quality equipment to be able to get that sound out there, in the best fidelity possible. So
really true.
Right. Yeah. And if you are doing the video and audio at the same time, I think it's important to keep in mind if someone's not watching that you explain whatever visuals that you have up. And that's just a good practice anyway, just to be more accessible for people with visual impairments to explain what you're showing on screen. So it's a good reminder if you're going to repurpose the content. So
okay, so Sarah, let's move into like the next. I know the next topic is actually a very quick topic. It was just we wanted to highlight this one, right?
Yeah, it's a very quick topic, and
we talked about it last week, right?
Did we talk about it?
I think so. Yeah, it's what's the next?
Oh, the very quick topic. Sorry, I was jumping to topic number 3.
We're not there
yet. Topic number 2. Topic number 2 is that Facebook live audio is rolling out more. I have to say, I updated my Facebook app about 5 minutes before we went live today, and I finally saw the option, but I had to create a room, and it's still kind of clunky. I really have to spend some time to figure it out, but it's definitely there. People are getting it. I know that there was some limited rollout to begin with. I think it was US first. Am I right about that from last week? Or North America first. But it should be rolling out widely now. And like I said before, I can't wait for some of my groups to have live audio. I'm really looking forward to it. So to have that interaction, I had a few Clubhouse rooms that I was a part of that it was like having like this just weekly conference call with these people who I love and who are part of my local entrepreneurial network. So I can't wait for that to be part of these broader worldwide groups that I'm a part of.
Very nice. Yeah. And so it's gonna be great. Just a quick note real quick about this one. Really, I mean, Facebook rolled out live audio rooms. You can check that out. By the way, we put a link to that in the comments. socialchefs.com/SC296. That'll get you directly to that episode as well. You can check out all the stuff that we talked about and showed you guys last week. But again, I mean, it's good. Most of Facebook, I mean, the one benefit I think to audio rooms is going to be, well, for starters, it's going to be mobile only. So it's only on your mobile app. The other side to it, I think that's also important to keep in mind real quick is it's a mobile app, and then you're going to have your built-in audience on Facebook. So you're going to be able to tap into the audience in that sense without having to, do something like Clubhouse, which is you had to rebuild an audience there.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going, chances are you're going to get the same people that are tuning into your stuff now on Clubhouse, for example, on your normal stuff into that platform. So with audio rooms, I mean, again, it started rolling out, but those are really, I think, the main things about that. Kirk, did you want to add anything about audio rooms, or we want to spend some time, getting to your questions here shortly?
No, I think you touched on it. Really, I mean, the engagement piece is what we are always pushing, of course, in the live video space is how can we engage more? How can we continue the conversation? And Facebook groups has been a really great tool for a lot of the influencers and live streamers that I know that are building community. So adding that additional component of being able to kind of have that conference call, like Sarah said, that weekly conference call with these people that you've been kind of engaging with for some time now, is going to be really great. So I'm liking that addition and the way they're rolling that out. That's going to be great.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Yeah. And I have to say, when we were testing Twitter Spaces, I found it a lot easier to use than Facebook audio rooms. So that could just be, I need to play around with it, but out of the gate, Twitter Spaces was easier and more intuitive to set up. So, but we'll see. Like I said, I got it 5 minutes before we went live, and I need to play with it a little bit more to see. So
awesome. Okay. So where do we go next, Sarah?
So let's go to topic number 3, not number 2, number 3. Instagram. So Facebook and Instagram have been giving some love to nonprofits as far as fundraising goes. They report that they have helped contribute $5 billion to nonprofits by giving tools for nonprofits to raise money. So what they're doing now is last year, people may have seen that you could start personal fundraisers on Instagram as an individual. That happened last summer. They also started to offer live fundraisers for nonprofits and share the fundraisers in your feed. But now what they're doing is they're allowing you to set up a fundraiser and invite a group to fundraise too. So it's just another way of sort of this crowd fundraising within Instagram. So it's a nice add-on for this. It's pretty simple to use, but I have to say I was testing it and I wasn't able to find a couple of nonprofits. One nonprofit, I'm actually doing a fundraiser right now with them. It's sort of it's a charity ride, walkathon kind of thing that we're all used to seeing people raise money for. That wasn't popping up in my attempt to add a fundraiser to it. And also some nonprofits that I have set up Facebook fundraising through were not popping up. So there's got to be some setting, I think, on the nonprofits end. I have to research this a little bit more because it's still they've just announced it. I haven't really dug into all of the back-end administration that has to happen. I will say from a nonprofit management perspective, one of the challenges that I've always had with Facebook and Instagram fundraising is the point of running fundraisers like these crowdsourced fundraisers is lead generation for the nonprofit, right? We call it donor management or list building in the nonprofit sector. In the for-profit sector, we called it lead generation. So when you do these things, you don't necessarily get the full name of that donor and the contact information for that donor. So that's something I really want to dive into to see if the Instagram group fundraising is going to let us get that data so that we can stay in touch with those donors, thank them properly, and stay in touch. The way the donor recognition goes right now is that Facebook themselves will send you a message saying your donation was going to this. We know it's a 501c3. Your donation is tax deductible. So the nonprofit never gets in that mix. So from a donor stewardship perspective, there is some hurdles with this, I have to say. But on the other hand, any kind of fundraising that you can do is great for the nonprofit sector. So
absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else you'll want to add, Kirk? You want to add anything about this? I mean, and Sarah, maybe actually, before I go to Kirk here, Sarah, how do people go about adding this?
All you have to do, it is when you start creating a post, just start creating a post, and right below adding a location tag, you'll see add fundraiser. It's right there in the list of items. So it's super, super simple. I've noticed I can do it. My Instagram profile is actually a professional profile, so it's more like a business profile, so I can look at the metrics. So it's happening on an individual profile, business profile, and my guess is that it's also creator profile too. So it really is. It doesn't matter how your setup of Instagram is, you can add the fundraiser to it. So it's a great thing. Instagram and Facebook really tried to step up during the pandemic and adding some fundraising tools. And so this is a way to get your friends and network involved more. One nice piece, I have to say, is that Facebook waives all the fees. So it's 100% going to the nonprofit through this. So
the only thing I would add there, Chris, is that this is, again, great move for any nonprofits, but also great move for the faith-based space as well, which also many of them have 501c3 status and really have been doing. I know some of the faith-based organizations here in Huntsville, where I am, have done some really phenomenal work throughout the pandemic. Lunches for students who are at home and stuff like that. I mean, providing Wi-Fi for underprivileged areas where they can't get access to internet, for Zoom, for their classes, stuff like that. And they can make people aware of what they're doing on social media and in Instagram, Facebook, and begin to allow people to funnel that money back into what they're doing, so they can continue doing those great things. So it's a great addition. Kudos to Facebook and Instagram for rolling that out and making it available to nonprofits and faith-based organizations.
And it's a click. It's going to be a click within the post, and instead of us having to say, oh, my fundraising link is in my bio, and having to make sure you don't have a typo in it or whatever. So it's a nice little easy way to get a quick donation.
Yeah. Fantastic. I love that. And I love the teamwork aspect of that. Again, I mean, it's like if there's a cause, for example, that you want to work together towards, you're able, like, for example, we could do something, the three of us, and, like, it's not hard to set up versus like, oh, hey, we need to have a meeting, we need to do this and all this other stuff. You can do it all right through the app, for example. It could be just simple messages, and then, hey, let's go ahead and start this and kick things off. So I'm excited about Instagram group fundraisers as well. I think it's a very good update, especially for people who want to, again, you need help with something. Right. It's a great product to use.
Right. And it's where people are. I've used, over the last 15 years, I've used them all. I've used CrowdRise and Fundly and Classy and Give Lively and MobileCall, all of these platforms that I've used over the years to help with engagement and getting people into the fundraising aspect and doing personal fundraisers. So it's just, again, it's where we are. It's right below. It's in your control panel as you're putting together a post. So it's super, super simple for you to think, oh, could I add a fundraiser to something that I love? So
excellent.
Okay. So Sarah, where do we go next? Do we have another topic, or where do we go?
We've got, we have a few more topics, but I just want to be mindful of our time. So let me just do a quick rundown, and what we'll do in the show notes and the blog that follows this show is that we'll have a little more detail. So we wanted to talk very quickly. TikTok is adding some third-party providers so that creators can add these little mini programs and services to their videos. So it's going to link out to things like recipes and quizzes and other pieces of these third-party apps. So it's adding a bit more to the videos on TikTok so that creators can add more content and hopefully have some more engagement through that. The next one that I'm really excited about, and we've got a video guy here to talk about it too. Facebook is offering a smart crop feature to help you reframe videos in Creator Studio. And so this kind of tags onto the third piece that we wanted to remind everyone is that Facebook Insights is moving to Business Suite. And I have to say, Facebook has been trying to push us to Creator Studio and Business Suite for years, right? And I have been testing Creator Studio since it started, really. It was really, really buggy. Very, very buggy, but it's been getting better progressively. And now they've added this smart crop so that you can take a 16:9 video and crop it down to 1:1 or 4:5, which is what looks the best in the Facebook feeds. So this is super simple. It's going to help you keep the main subject in frame automatically with their smart crop feature, which is great. Yeah. So you don't have to have all of these professional video editing skills to make things look better now. And I have to say, I love Creator Studio. I love Facebook Creator Studio.
Once you dive in, it there's a learning curve, but once you dive in, you start to see the power of it. And absolutely, if you're looking to grow, it's definitely a place that you need to be in and learn what you can do in there. But that smart crop is going to be for a lot of people who are repurposing content, that's going to be a game changer, because that's the perfect size for Facebook, but it's also working for Instagram as well. So. Especially if you want to clip out a piece, some short form content, maybe 60 seconds. That's good. It's really good.
And remember when Reels came out and people weren't framing themselves right, so you'd only see like half a face or the bottom of a mouth, and it's the same thing. I think the platforms are recognizing people are using mobile more and more,
right?
Yeah. I mean, I think during lockdowns, of course, we were much more desktop oriented, but now everything is opening up and you want your video to look good. So that you don't have the half a face and
you don't want that.
The other thing I also want to add real quickly, I guess, about that is that, the smart crop feature, it initially started when, you had tools like Canva and Easel, for example, for design. Those rolled out, and they have, basically like a remix feature where you can like remix, your image, for example, for the platforms. And so that makes a lot of sense. Now, looking at the fact that, people have moved beyond, static graphics to video content, for example, we want to be able to offer, they want to be able to offer them that sort of functionality inside of the video as well. So I think the smart crop feature is going to make a lot of sense. And again, I mean, we're going to put that and the TikTok update in. I think we might even have one more. I think maybe Sarah, we'll put that in the blog post recap that's going to go out over the weekend. So Sarah, I want to turn it over to you now. Okay. So we got those topics, and then we still got tool of the week, but let's get into talking with our guest Kirk here. So
absolutely.
I'm going to turn it back.
Sure. So Kirk, we keep dancing around to the fact that you are a video expert and building audiences online. So we always like to ask our guests what's really in their wheelhouse in that big question, right? So our big question for you is, what does it take to be successful in building an online audience today?
Man, this is a question I get all the time, and for those who are watching that have seen me before, that I beat this drum anytime I get a chance. But there's three main things that I believe are essential to building an audience on any social platform, but especially with video. And those three things are: you've got to answer a question. You've got to answer a question. You've got to answer a question. I'm going to say that 3 times because I want to make sure that you guys catch this. Answer a question. Got to answer a question.
Nice.
Got to answer a question. You got to make sure that most people are searching for something. You want to be able to answer a question with your content, right? And you want to get to it too. You don't want to have them waiting through all this preliminary stuff. You want to answer their question and answer it quickly, answer it in your own words and with your own experiences. You can be creative in that part, but you want to answer a question. That's the first thing. Second thing, you want to be consistent. There's nothing worse than knowing somebody's supposed to show up like Social Chatter. These guys it's one of the longest running shows. So everybody's used to them. Yes. So everybody's used to them showing up at the same time, on the same day of the week, because they're consistent. And that consistency builds an audience. That consistency gives people an opportunity to say they're going to be here. One of the other ways that you are consistent is by telling people what's coming up next. The worst thing you can do is end your show and not tell them what's coming up next. Like, come back next week because we're going to have this. Come back 2 weeks from now because we're going to have this. Next month, we're going to be looking at these topics. And of course, you want to be able to shift on a dime. I love the format of this show where you can just, we were talking about the news headlines. So it's so cool, right? We could just, the news headlines really make the format and the I guess the lineup of the show. So we were able to just take those things and talk about that. But again, this is part of the two-way conversation. So you want to answer a question, you want to be consistent. But the last one, you want to be real and vulnerable. This one is the one where most of us struggle because we want to put together this very polished looking thing. And that's good, because you want no distractions when it comes on to what you're sharing with people. But you also want to be real. Like I tell people all the time, majority of the videos on my YouTube channel are because I'm sharing with you what the fix is because I failed. Like I fell flat on my face at some point in time. And because I fell, I was able to figure out what does work and what doesn't work. And I'm sharing that with you. And that's the piece where people resonate, where when you say, hey, man, I had a live show and I was live for like 5-10 minutes and there was no audio. I wasn't checking the comments. I didn't check to see that my mic was turned off. Those are the kinds of experiences that people resonate with. It makes it real for them. And then they say, this guy, this girl, this man, this woman is just like me. I can resonate with them. And that is what really helps to build a community, build a brand online. So those are my 3 things.
Fantastic. Okay, Sarah, back to you.
That's great. Yeah. And I think we all struggle with consistency, right? It's like, yes, I know I need to do that. I know I need to do that, especially entrepreneurs as you're starting to get going.
Yeah.
I think you have to just keep reminding yourself consistency. So we've talked about it a little bit, but let's talk about it a little bit more focus now about leveraging audio only rooms, right? Especially we've been in the video space. We've been doing a lot of video events, Zooms, Teams, whatever platform you use. And how can we now leverage that into audio only?
Yeah, this is, and I think one of the great things about this, we're seeing an expansion of platforms in the space, but we do have the example of Clubhouse, which was the first, and so we can take that example and look at some of the abject failures that we had from that platform and don't repeat them as we go into some of the others. So yeah, as I look at that, I know you talked earlier about lead generation, Sarah. That's one of the terms. But essentially, if this is an additional funnel for your business pipeline, that's the main thing I want to say to folks is, as you look at audio rooms, as you look at live audio, this is an additional funnel for your business pipeline. But it doesn't just magically happen. You've got to actually build the funnel. You've got to be prepared to build the funnel. One of the worst things that you can have is mistaken prominence, right? It's like, I didn't mean to be prominent, but now I am, and I'm unprepared for it, right? That's the worst thing you can have happen. Your profile's not done. There are no links there. Nobody knows who you are. How can I follow up with you and get in touch with you after the fact? You're in a room, you're on stage with some really prominent folks. That's not the scenario you want to find yourself in. So doing some preparation, investing in your profile links and landing pages so that you can, when you do have that experience in one of these rooms and one of these platforms, that people can follow you. That's one of the major things you can do, at least that I learned with Clubhouse. You get in a room, you offer some value, you share with people who you are, what you do. They're going to check your profile. But what do those landing pages look like? What are they going to see when they follow through to catch up with you? And so if you haven't built those funnels for your business, for your brand, for whatever it is you do, then there's really no way for you to actually leverage what's happening on that platform. So then it becomes a closed space. And what happens there, the value you've added there, the connections you've made there, once you sign out of that room, it's done. So in order to make sure that that funnel is active, that you can actually send them through to, an email campaign, maybe you've got something free on your website that they can sign up for, if they give you a little something, those are ways that you can build those pipelines, build that funnel out for you to be able to take advantage and leverage what's happening in some of these audio spaces. Because I think they are phenomenal. The cost for entry, or I guess bar for entry in terms of investment, is really sometimes just your phone. So that is a great thing. But on the flip side, take a moment, set up your profile, set up your links, make sure that that part's clear, and then think like a customer. What is it like for me to go through this process of getting in touch with me?
Yep.
Right. That's a
right.
good one.
Yeah. It's not what you want them to do, it's what they will do, right?
Yes. And
it's all
it's like,
about them.
Exactly. And if it's like 50 steps and you know by step 15 you're like, they're not going to do this, right? So you need to change it and make it simpler. So yeah, we often don't walk that process through ourselves, and that's why that mistaken prominence one, it's such a crusher for a lot of us. It's like, man, I was in the room. A friend of mine was on Clubhouse early on when it first started, and she was in a room with Oprah, and she was unprepared. She was on stage with Oprah. She was unprepared. And so she missed her moment. In my opinion, that was a moment that she missed. She didn't have the links. You get what I'm saying? So that's nobody wants that story. And of course, we share this because we want to make sure that others are able to take advantage and leverage these things, so that when the moment does happen, you're in the room with the director of Chosen, which did happen to me. And you get a chance to talk with him about what's happening on the show and why he's using YouTube the way that he's using it, and I'm on stage with someone else. People can click my profile and follow through to where I have a few things that they can make use of. So these are that you want to take advantage of those opportunities. They don't. What I love about live video, I know I'm rambling now, but what I love about live video and these live rooms is that it is spontaneous. You can't script it. Right. And that is a blessing and a curse. Right. So all we got to do is make sure we're prepared for that off chance where something's really going to catch fire. Right. And an idea is shared and you're staged and prepared and ready to take advantage of it.
Right. And I like how you said that investment is often time. Right. It's thinking through all of this process. Even when I think we're writing a blog post, at the end, when I finish a blog post, it's like, what do I want someone to do next? Exactly. And it's, we're writing it, we're putting it in content on our websites, but we're not thinking through how we're showing up in this digital space, audio, video, whatever it is, as if we were at a live event. If we were at a live event and someone said, oh, where can I find you? You're ready. You're ready. Kind of in your head, right? Exactly. You've got a business card. You've got something that you can send people. So I actually use, right now, it's my Instagram name tag on the front of my phone. So if someone's trying to say, how can I stay in touch with me? I say, just scan my name tag on my phone. It's my image. Good. So what's that digital equivalent, I think is important to think through. So
excellent point. Kirk, by the way, can you do me a favor? Can you bring those bullet points you had up real quick? I mean, so you had, create a funnel for your, so we got that one.
Sorry.
So
this is second set.
Second one was, create a funnel for your business pipeline. 2 is make sure you're always prepared for things. You never know when that moment's going to happen. And then the third one is investing in your profiles, links and landing pages. So basically, I think if we sum that, if we were to sum that up, what would the third one be if you wanted to give people a real quick?
Well, it's curate the experience. Curate the experience for the person that's trying to get in touch with you. Like I mean, for lack of a better term, I know you're saying trying to sum it up, but I think that's really what it is you've got to walk that experience with the person. What is that experience like? That's taking a page out of Apple and Amazon's book, right? They have curated that experience from the time you get on the page to the time you click purchase to the time that box shows up at your door with the smile face and the little thing on it. They've curated that experience. And Apple does the same from the time you've purchased to the time you break the plastic seal and you open the box, which is unnecessarily gorgeous, right? They've curated this experience. Well, you've got to curate the experience for when people are going to get at you, right? So what is that experience like? Yeah, just drop me an email and then they don't hear from you for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. What
Right.
is that experience like? What is that experience like? How easy is it for people to get in touch? How easy is it for them to find what you have to offer, what services you have to offer? How easy is that? What is that experience like? And that's what we a lot of people have not curated that experience. And by curating, I mean walk through that experience every single step, whether it's the links, the profile, the landing page, whatever it is, but you've got to walk that experience for them.
And I
Right.
want to just add a quick point from Coffee Talk and Tech here. I mean, sorting your time and having your cause and action properly are things that he's working on. Keep that up, Coffee Talk and Tech. I mean,
Yeah.
here's the thing. The other thing also, like as you're mentioning, you have to walk that experience with your customers. Here we're building this ourselves. And so the more we do it, the more repetition we do it, the more that, it sort of doesn't have as much impact as it normally would. And so
Yes.
you want to make sure that it doesn't matter if you walk through it the 100th time. And this is why it's really important, by the way, as a business to get an outside perspective on things as well. So, if you're consistently you're consistent at it, that's great. But what's going to happen over time is you're going to end up, you're going to be like, well, okay, I've already been through this like a dozen times. It's going to be this, this, and this. But the thing is, you could be missing something because you're looking at it from the perspective you've always been looking at it versus,
Right.
hey, let me actually bring Kirk in. Kirk hasn't been part of this process, for example, or
That's
Sarah
the
wasn't part of
best.
this process.
Right.
Let me bring her in and actually, then and then you just have to be open to feedback, by the way, open to
Right.
feedback. For example, when we talked about, audio rooms, and whatnot, like they're going to seem different. They're going to seem foreign. And it's going to be something though, that you're going to have to test. You're going to have to work through. And then you're going to actually, and then once you set up that part of that process, you're going to have to make sure that, hey, does this actually work for my audience? What kind of feedback are they giving me? Because I might think it's super simple. And that might be because, hey, you know what? I've been through it 100 times versus, hey, it's their first time and they're already stuck at the beginning. Well, something's wrong there. Maybe. So awesome. Sarah, do we have any other questions?
Looking at it from different aspects too, Chris. I mean, so I'm an IT guy by trade and training. So I have everything. I've got an iPad, I've got an Android phone, but I know a lot of people who they're in one ecosystem. So they know it works on Apple, but does it work on Android? Right? Does it work on Windows? You get what I'm saying? So testing it from several different angles. You've tested the process on your device, but does it work on someone else's? And that's being intentional about that experience. So just agreeing with you. Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. Yeah, we all can't be like Apple that has that. They have a word for the time it takes, that drag on the boxes that open up. Yeah. So, which kind of leads to this next question that we have for you, Kirk, because it's easy to design a product experience like that, right? Or if you're an Etsy shop, to have a pretty little, to have color-coded tissue paper and pretty little stickers and things like that. But what if you are a service or your wheelhouse, right, which are faith-based businesses? So how can they tap into this new ecosystem? Certainly, they've had a lot of learning curve with video this year and engaging people. I think, especially I live in a rural part of the country, and it's been a huge boom in building back those faith-based communities. So where's the space for them with audio, especially with the lean staffs that they have?
Well, there's a misconception, and we've seen this, just like you said, throughout the entire pandemic, the misconception that there are different rules that apply to faith-based as they enter these digital spaces, whether it be video or with audio, live or pre-recorded. There's a misconception that they need to somehow do things differently. I've had the privilege of doing workshops with faith-based entities, with specifically churches, like pastors and their leadership teams all over the country for the past year. And that workshop is called Making the Digital Pivot to an Online Delivery of the Gospel. And one of the things I'm sharing with them is essentially the rules are the same. You need to answer a question. Don't make them wait for the doxology and 5 prayers and 20 announcements that have nothing to do with nothing. You need to answer a question. You need to be consistent. You need to be vulnerable and real. And the church struggles with especially the last one. We like to put up a facade. Faith-based entities, we struggle with that last one. We'd like to, make it seem like we've got this thing together, but the church is a hospital. So broken people come to the church and they're looking to find where other broken people have been able to be successful. So we need to share those stories. I think that the church has that in spades, right? They know how to answer questions because they've got answers. So they've just got to be able to package that thing in a way that the marketplace understands. And that's where that disconnect is. It's like, oh, well, we do a church service. Why are you streaming your church service? Ask yourself that question. What answer are you giving to people with your church service? That's a problem. You're not answering a question. Why are you out there? Scroll, right? This is the person watching. Oh, somebody's, what am I watching this for? Scroll. So that's the problem with a lot of our faith-based content, is that we have not adhered to the same principles that the rest of the marketplace has to. We're not exempt. We have to do that. The second thing I want to share there is that you don't need permission. You don't need the larger body. You can be a committee of one. I think those are the most successful ventures, faith-based entities, programs, projects that I've seen online. It's not the big, large ones. It's the one-off ministries where somebody decides, I've got a passion to do X, and I'm going to do this. And those are the ones I find have been successful. The other thing that I want to share there is the last two, which is 3 and 4. A lot of us, and this is both faith-based and, in the other parts of the market as well, we don't know what our question is, right? So I keep on saying you got to answer a question, but a lot of people don't know what question they are uniquely designed to answer. And there is work that needs to go in to figure out what question am I uniquely designed to answer? And I would submit that for most people, it's your area of greatest weakness where you're struggling and trying to gain the victory. Look at that place. And I think that's where you'll find that this is a question that I can answer because it's a lived experience. I'm living it every day and it's not done yet. So we had a church that when they did a poll in their church, they realized they had 30% of their church were recovering alcoholics, right? There's 30% of their church that are card-carrying AA members. So they decided to create a chapter in their own church. And they started to put out content on their YouTube channel specific to the recovering alcoholics experience. Guess what? That thing blew up, right? They weren't necessarily dumping the Bible on anybody. They're just talking about broken people finding a way to victory. It's a simple scenario. And so they knew what their question was, and they knew who their perfect person was. Those are the two pieces that a lot of us don't take the time to figure out. What is the question that I'm uniquely designed to answer, and who am I designed to answer it for? Those are the two pieces. And I think that, of course, there's some parallels. There are some things that would actually help for not just faith-based. I mean, even if you're a content creator and you're thinking about, diving into this space, you need to answer those questions as well, because that's where you're going to find your community. As they say, your vibe will attract your tribe. You're going to find your community, and then you're going to be able to provide them with a ton of value because you are sharing your lived experience.
Right. I think a lot of people, especially entrepreneurs, forget that the nonprofit sector, the faith-based sector, have great answers, or they've really focused who their people are, what their message is, what their purpose is. And I think there's a lot of lessons to be learned by the business community in that respect. That's
the piece.
Yep.
I'm excited about that merging, because I think for far too long we've had them so separate. And he's like, let me put on my church hat because it's Sunday or it's Saturday, and let me go and put on my church hat and do that church thing. And then I go back to my rest of my week where I'm a business person, where I'm an entrepreneur, where I'm a content creator, and I'm employing all these practices and principles, but I never apply it over here. And that's where that merging is happening. The pandemic has been really good for that.
Right. That we bring our whole selves to every stage that we're on. Right.
Yes.
Right.
Our whole selves. I love that statement.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Fantastic. So Kirk, I want to, I know you have a hard stop, by the way. So I want to thank you for joining us, by the way, for this week's show. I mean, this has just been fantastic. By the way, if you could do me a favor, can you put those bullets up real quick that you just had for the faith-based side?
Sure.
And just let's give a very quick, 30 seconds on this. So basically you're saying, let's have you walk through this. Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, for the first one, I'm saying to, the faith-based person out there who's like, well, how do we get started? How can we be successful in this space? I'm saying to you, don't wait for permission. Be a committee of one. don't wait for everybody to jump on board with the vision that God has given you.
Okay.
Be a committee of one and step forward in faith.
The
next one is those 3 principles that I shared earlier. Answer a question, be consistent, be vulnerable. These apply. We're not separate. The recipe for success is the same for faith-based as it is for non-faith-based, right?
Okay.
And then, of course, the last 2, know what question you answer and who needs that answer. Those are 2 pieces that are, just super critical for everybody to understand, but especially in the faith-based space. If you are answering the wrong question for the wrong people, then that's why you have the 2 views and the 3 views. That's the reason, right? Because
perfect.
You're in the wrong space. Yeah.
Got it. Awesome. So just one last question for you. If people want to get in touch with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
We got it right here on the screen,
right there.
KirkRNugent.com. I'm going to take this other one down. KirkRNugent.com. We actually just launched this site yesterday, so It's got everything. It's got everything. KirkRNugent.com's got everything. Live video strategy. We got a free streaming package overlay. It's got a countdown clock, all that stuff. Go ahead and sign up for the mailing list. This is where we're making a major investment right here. KirkRNugent.com, and you have my services page there. Public speaking, coaching, and live video strategy in terms of remote production, stuff like that we do under my brand. So would love to catch up with any of you. KirkRNugent.com is the place. Man, awesome. Sarah, Christian, thank you guys so
much.
Kirk.
Thank you.
A great space, one that I have followed for quite some time. So I'm excited to be here. Excited to engage with you guys.
So we'll let you go here, but thanks again for joining us, and we'll definitely be in touch to have you back. So thanks a lot, Kirk.
Sure.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Great.
All right. Take care, everybody.
You guys.
Bye.
Very cool, actually. So, Kirk, thanks. I want to thank Kirk. For joining us. I know he had something he had to get to, so we want to make sure we value his time. We also want to make sure we value your time as well. So, we've got one last thing for you this week, and that is that's tool time, where basically we're going to be talking about a real quick tool here that we think can help you as a business. And we touched on video a lot today, right, Sarah? And so
we did.
I'm going to go ahead and bring you up, and then we're going to bring on this tool here real quick. So what's the tool that we're going to talk about this week, Sarah?
So the tool is something that I found last year when I was faced with having to produce multiple clips into one virtual event for about 700 people pretty much overnight. And my Premiere skills, my Adobe Premiere skills were not where they needed to be to do this. So I found this, this application called Filmora by Wondershare. So it is, it's a video editor. And like I said, you can also separate out audio. There's all kinds of things that you can do with this. What's great is that it's sort of like a step up from iMovie, but not quite as hard to learn as Premiere, but has a lot of fun features that Premiere has. But it's just a little more intuitive to use. So of course, technology being the way it is, I had a Filmora dashboard up and it crashed right before our show. So this is a screenshot from their website. And you'll see that the dashboard really looks very similar to the Premiere dashboard, where you sort of build out your project. And I recommend build it out, put all of your assets into one folder so that you're saving everything. It works a lot like projects that we build in Photoshop or build in Premiere, where if you start moving things around and you have to go back into your project, you'll lose the links to those assets. So have everything in one folder. You just drag them into your media dashboard, and then you can pop them into the timeline. You can also layer on music. You can layer on titles. I've also layered on different images. I've layered on titles for speakers so they can pop in and out seamlessly. Or if someone is talking about a particular item or project that they've worked on, I can put up sort of over their shoulder. I can put an image of what they're talking about over their shoulder. So there's a lot of great little tips and tricks that you can use with this. And again, it's not as hard to learn as Premiere, and drum roll, it's $40 a year. So it's really affordable, easy to use, and it does take some resources from your computing system, but not as much as Premiere or any of the other Adobe Suite items that you might be using.
Fantastic. Yeah. And again, I mean, here's the thing. If you're an iOS user, for example, you're going to get iMovie for free. For example, you can go check out like Hit Film Express, more complex programs, things like that. You can move into, Final Cut Pro, Adobe Premiere. There's so many pieces of software out there to be able to do this. You can get ScreenFlow version 10, for example. But with Wondershare Filmora, I mean, the great thing about this is, again, it's about getting you started. So, if you're the seasoned video professional, you may use this for some things, you may not. It may not be enough for you, but it's definitely a huge step up from, a lot of the free editors that are out there. And remember, you also have to look at it like this. You're crafting the experience. So for example, if you're looking to take an existing video you have and it's, in landscape mode and you want to convert it to, portrait mode, for example, this software can help you with that. And it can make it easy for you to add some different things to help your video stand out. Because I don't know about you, but if you've ever sat down and like filmed a piece of video and then you look at it, you're like, okay, this is like, oh, it looks good, but it doesn't have that pop to it, that wow factor, right? And that's where the editing aspect comes in. That's where, you're maybe adding some audio or some effects or things like that to help improve and heighten the quality. It's why, like, for example, when you watch a movie, if you watch a movie with no sound on, it's not the same until you add the soundtrack. And the soundtrack is what's going to make it unique and help it stand out. So again, we can't encourage you enough to check out Filmora. Again, socialchefs.com/go/Filmora. And again, it's a subscription service. So you can use it and you're not having to like, well, oh, now I got to go buy another computer. Like, you use their software and then you get as much out of it as you need to. And then if you need to upgrade your computer or something like that, you can do that, versus a lot of the other software, they're very, they're not going to work on low power computers for the most part.
Yeah.
So,
they're big resource hogs. So, and what I would add with effects too, Christian, we talked about it a few weeks ago. And that is adding your logo to a video clip too, because YouTube, some of these other video sharing platforms are making it much easier for people to scrape or clip. I think that's what YouTube is calling it, clippable permissions and things like that. So having your logo there means that you still have that brand aspect to that asset. And so if someone tries to use some of your clips or something like that, you still have your logo there. It'll make it harder for them, give them an extra step to try to mask it. But at least it's there, and so that you can keep your brand identity and keep your intellectual property too.
Excellent point. Yeah. So with that, I don't have anything else to add. Do you, Sarah?
I have one more thing to add, and that is, if you're trying to learn video editing, at least in the United States, there are a lot of community media centers. It's part of the taxes that you pay on your internet and cable and service providers. And a lot of them, my local one is called the Media Factory. I think they're mediafactory.org. A lot of them are still doing their online events. You can get these classes for very little money and learn about what B-roll is and how audio works and how you can just layer these pieces in to any platform, any application, whether it's something simple like iMovie or something more complex. So I would definitely encourage you to check it out. And if you're not in the States, to look at if there is something you might be able to access very affordably, like $20 for a 2-hour workshop.
Fantastic. So this has been a great show, by the way. I just got a couple of quick notes for everyone. We have an email list, socialchefs.com/daily. You can go sign up for that if you want to. If you want to connect with our guest this week, our guest was Kirk Nugent. Again, Kirk R. Nugent on Twitter. Go check that out. Again, loved having him talk to us today about, video. We talked about audio rooms, obviously, and then also obviously talking about how, in his case, he works with a lot of faith-based businesses. So, how faith-based businesses can really leverage things. In addition to that, Sarah, I know where can people get in touch with you?
People can get in touch with me at Sarah Monroe VT on social media. It's the same handle across. I'd say LinkedIn right now. We're trying to get this feed to live to my LinkedIn. So, just let me know how you found me. That when you message me to connect, just say, hey, I saw you on Social Chefs, and happy to accept that connection. So
fantastic. And I'm Christian Karasevich, and I'm at Social Chefs for the digital agency here, like across the board. You can connect with us there. That's the best place. And then just a couple of quick reminders. We mentioned we have a couple more topics we didn't get to today because we want to make sure we spend enough time with our guest, Kirk. And so that's going to be at socialchefs.com/SC297. That's the blog post recap. There's also an Alexa flash briefing. It's about 7 to 8 minutes, I think. So it's a whole, it's literally a very consolidated version of this. Check that out. And then our guest next week is going to be guest Mary Fain Brandt at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Again, on youtube.com/socialchefs or facebook.com/socialchefs. But with that, I want to thank everyone for tuning in. We will see you all next week. Have a great weekend, everyone. Thanks for watching. Bye.